David gave me a simple white envelope with his immaculate handwriting on it that had my name. I thought it was merely a birthday card, but upon closer inspection, I saw that it was actually a stampered payment receipt along with a beautifully folded note. I paid my tuition in full. My hands trembled as I read the letter, and tears filled my eyes. Dear Sarah, I knew you were unique the first time I met you and that you owed me nothing, not your love, trust, or even your time, but over the years, you allowed me to be a part of your life, and that has been the best gift I could ever receive. Your future and your dreams are important. The day I married your mother, I began saving for this, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I have faith in you, and I want you to have every chance to pursue your goals fearlessly. I will always be here to support, encourage, and love you as if you were my own, no matter where life leads you. I was unable to speak, so I looked up at David, who simply grinned as if he hadn't just completely altered my life's trajectory. I gave him a deep hug that evening and muttered, "Thank you, Dad." When I contacted him for the first time, he simply gave me a hug back with all the silent power he had always displayed without saying anything. Although college was difficult, I succeeded not only because I was able to pursue my passions but also because I knew that someone valued me enough to put money into my future without expecting anything in return. My relationship with David only deepened over the years. He was the most loving grandfather to my daughter Lily, escorted me down the aisle when I got married, and gave a moving yet sincere speech at the reception. When I think back on that one act, that silent act of generosity and total surprise, it was more than just financial assistance, it was pure love. A father turning up for a child who wasn't his biological daughter but who was his in every other way. When people ask me about my father today, I mention David, not because he had to be there, but because he made the decision to be, and that decision changed everything. His unanticipated gesture not only helped pay for my schooling, but it also created a bridge between two hearts. It taught me that family is about showing up, giving without conditions, and loving without boundaries. It's not just about genetics. That is the tale of how one envelope transformed my life and how my stepfather became my biological father. I never thought that someone who wasn't my biological relative would have such a profound effect on my life. For the most of when I was a child, my mother and I were alone. Since my biological father abandoned me when I was 6 years old, I have erected a wall around my heart to keep myself safe from further harm. That wall remained sturdy and tall for many years until my stepdad, with patience, generosity, and an unexpected move that completely transformed everything, David, gradually chipped away at it. My name is Sarah, and I was raised outside of Chicago in a peaceful suburban area. In order to support us, my mother Laura put in a lot of overtime as a nurse. She always made sure I had everything I needed, even if it meant putting her own comfort at risk. Although I was impressed by her resilience, I could also sense the loneliness she was trying to conceal beneath her worn-out smile. My mom and David met at a dinner party when I was about 10 years old. At first, I didn't think much of it because she had dated before, but no one ever stayed. However, David was different. He respected my space, said hello when he came over, inquired about how school was going, and then left it at that. Perhaps that's what caught my attention about him. When my mother announced she was getting married to David after a year of dating, I wasn't sure how to react. A part of me feared that another man would enter our lives and then immediately leave. In a modest ceremony in our backyard, they were married, and I stood next to my mother, clutching her hand firmly, since I didn't want to become connected or get wounded. I remember feeling something stir in me, like hope, but I wasn't ready to show it. Over the next few years, David remained a constant presence. He never tried to replace my dad. He never asked me to call him anything other than David, but he showed up to my school plays, drove me to soccer practice, and prepared dinner when my mom had night shifts. David looked at me tenderly and made a promise in front of everyone to love my mom and to support me in every way he could. Even though he never skipped a band concert or parent-teacher conference, I maintained my emotional distance. When senior year arrived, Stanford was my top choice. My goal was to become an environmental scientist and truly change the world. When the acceptance letter came, I was ecstatic because my grades and extracurricular activities were strong. However, reality set in quickly, and even with financial aid, the tuition was more than we could afford. Since my mom had already accomplished so much, I started looking into gap year options and possibly working to save money. I kept it a secret from everyone, including her, so she wouldn't feel guilty or stressed, and I assumed I'd handle it on my own. Then, on a calm day, my mom prepared my favorite dinner, lasagna, and we shared a small cake.